Welcome to Sandstone Herald. This is another day the Lord has made that we should rejoice and be glad. And yes, we are celebrating God's faithfulness. Now, Jeremiah chapter 30. That is one of the most beautiful verses we have in the book of Jeremiah. Most of us are familiar with 29, but like I told you and I challenged you yesterday, many of us read one verse and think that's everything, and they forget to read the next verse. And the next verse here is a blessing. Chapter 30 is a beautiful promise. You see, the Lord tells Jeremiah to write a book. Write the promises, write the prophecies in the book. And why would you want to write a book? So that people will read, people will remember, people will have evidence that God had spoken. And in this particular case, God makes a promise. He says, days are coming. And remember, he had told them after 70 years. So he's saying, days are coming when I'm going to bring back my people. I'll bring back my people to the promised land. I will bring them back. And when I do, he gives 7 promises. And I need you to remember that the 7 promises of God. Why 7? Because they are the perfect. They are the ultimate. They are the reason that we can be able to count on God. They are irrefutable. They cannot be challenged. They cannot be reversed. They cannot be taken back. No, God does not take back his promise. So this is what he says. Number 1, he tells them, I will bring my people back. Now, you can take that to the bank. It will happen. And he's given them the timeline. He says, after Nebuchadnezzar, his son is going to come, and his grandson. During his grandson, I will destroy every nation that the children of Israel had been taken captive into as a refugee. So once I've finished punishing them, then I'll pick up my people and bring them back. And we know evidentially and historically that this happened. So that promise was fulfilled. But God gave it as a promise to Jeremiah and told him, write it down. And I need you to remember that sometimes God gives you blessings and promises and tells you to do it. Write it down. Write it down so that when it happens, you'll give thanks and you'll praise God and you'll say, yes, this was his promise for me and it happened. Number 2, I will restore my people. I will restore them. There will be life again in Jerusalem and in Israel and in Judah. There will be life again. Everybody will be able to live like they lived before. The things they did before, they will be able to do again. In other words, they look back to the good old days and say, this day is better than. I love this song that says, my tomorrow will be better than today. That reminds me of this particular promise. Number 3 is to say that though your sin may have been like a wound, a deadly wound that could kill you, it is incurable. It is bad and ugly. I will restore you. I will heal you and I will give you back life. In other words, what you have lost, I'm going to give back to you. What seems not to be there, I will restore. In other words, God is promising and saying, just like we are struggling with Corona today, there are people who have been unwell. There are people who have fallen sick. There are people who have lost loved ones. There are people going through pain and depression and fear and all those things that are coming. He's saying they may look dangerous, deadly, death. You could be walking with death on your body, like Paul would say that we walk with the death of Christ in our body. But the Lord is saying, though they could be dangerous and deadly, I will restore. I will heal you back. I will give you back your health. Number 4, there will be celebration and rejoicing. There'll be thanksgiving. There'll be dancing. The praises will be back on the streets, and the children and the old people will dance again, and there will be excellent celebration back in the land, which means the Lord is saying, make sure you don't decrease, because I need your children alive to do the celebration. I need the old people. They will be healthy and strong. In their old age, they will have an opportunity to dance. You know, we live in a generation where you can't tell between a guy who's 40 and one who is 77 because both of them are looking old. All right, so we need to ask ourselves, are you taking good care of yourself? If you need to be able to celebrate when you're 70, take care of yourself. And he's saying there will be celebration, rejoicing, dancing, praises, and thanksgiving for God's faithfulness, because they'll remember God promised this and it is happening. Number 5, he makes this very clean and he says, but I will punish the nations that took you. I will punish the nations that conquered you. I will punish the messengers I used. Because of their own sin and their own evil, I will use, yes, I'll use them now to punish you. But then when I'm through with you, I will punish them. And then I will remove you from there and bring you back to the promised land. You know, sometimes people think that everybody doing wickedness will get away with it. The Lord is watching. He sees. He sees. I'm sure you see some of these things in our nations, on the news, and you wonder, will these people ever get away with it? Can I give you a simple illustration? You might be wondering, how comes there are people who are entrusted with resources that belong to the nation, to the taxpayers, the individual, the simple Kenyans and the simple people from Africa or the globe. but they enrich themselves. They use the power to frustrate people. And when they finish, when they're retiring, they want us to give them a beautiful send-off after stealing from us. Have you ever noticed what happens to most of their families? The children don't make it right, their health are terribly going wrong, and then the poverty strikes them, and before you know it, maybe one of them dies, and the next family is struggling and fighting over that wealth, and within a very short time, the family is wiped out of the face of the earth. We have them as history. God does not forget. No, does not forget. So don't you ever think, you might think you're doing great with yourself, but most of them remain in politics to safeguard their money, and then when they go in, their children fight over the wealth, and before you know it, they're killing each other, they're sick in hospital. I mean, God will always. Don't you ever think you will get away with it. Come back to God. And then he tells the children of Israel, number 6, that you will not escape. Even you worship idols, you did not. There will always be payback time, which means, while I will be punishing the other guys, I got something for you too. So straighten up. You remember Hezekiah was told, put your house in order. Put your house in order. We need to put our houses in order so that we will be safe. All right? Okay. And then finally, the last promise, number 7. You may not fully understand it today. You may not understand why I will punish you today. I will restore you. You may not understand why I removed you from the promised land. You may not understand some of the things, why I'll do this. But he says you will understand it better by and by. Time will come when you'll understand it better. Daniel was told, write this, seal it until the right time. Some things we do today, we don't fully understand. When the right time comes in, it hits us like, really? I didn't know this was it. You will understand it better and by and by. In other words, the Lord will reveal it to us and make it clear to us. And I pray that you will seek God to guide you and walk with you. As you read Jeremiah 30, you will begin to understand there are greater and beautiful promises God is putting. Sometimes we just don't know them. They call Jeremiah the prophet of doom. He has more blessings in store for believers than you can imagine. This is John Mark saying, God bless you and have a lovely, wonderful time. Good night.